and introduce Matthew Donovan with MeasureOne. Matthew reached out in actually March of 2024. He said, "Hey, Dustin, I realized y'all had a partner of yours, went belly up, and we really are looking to get into this space. We have a very robust insurance verification service. Can we talk?" And we said, absolutely. We did a lot of homework on MeasureOne, a lot of discussions. Then our attorneys got together to form contracts, and then our developers all got together and spent about 6 months building an ironclad integration that we're very proud to show off. So we've gotten to know Matthew over the last year, get very comfortable with MeasureOne and the security and their wherewithal, but you haven't. And so I just want to interview Matthew for a few minutes and ask some of the questions I asked along the way. And so Matthew, thanks for joining us. Let's get him up on the screen and tell us a little bit about who is MeasureOne. Tell us about a little about the story of MeasureOne, who you are and what you do, and kind of behind that question is, are you guys here to stay?
Yeah. So first off, thanks for having me, Dustin. Really excited to be here, and in general, really excited about this partnership with Salt. So what is MeasureOne? MeasureOne is a technology company that's built a platform that makes it really easy for individuals to share their data with their trusted partners. For this specific example, that is insureds sharing their existing dex pages with you, the agents that they're working with. But that is not all we do. So we have built this technology, and we actually provide this service to many industries. We work in the loan origination space where we're verifying payroll and income. We work with background check companies to verify employment status. We work with many of the largest online tax prep software to import data. And that's a long-winded way of saying that we've been doing this for a long time, and we work with some of the biggest players out there. MeasureOne as a company is nearly a decade old. We have 100 employees, a little over 100 employees. And as I mentioned, we work with some very large partners, including multiple publicly traded companies. So you can be comfortable that Dustin and all of our partners have done exhaustive research and chose MeasureOne for a reason.
Thank you, Matthew. Yeah, there's other providers in the industry that go right to agents with this policy data collection process. You guys have chosen to partner with Salt and eventually others. Why are you partnering with Salt? Why not go direct to agents?
Yeah, I mean, there's kind of two parts to that answer. And the first part is simple. At MeasureOne, we know what we're good at. And that is, making it easy for individuals to share their data to their partners. And we make sure that the partners can be comfortable that their data that they're receiving is verified and accurate. And that leads us to, what aren't we experts at? And that is, in this case, the insurance agent experience and also the insured's experience. We're excited to rely on Salt as an expert in this space, and I can tell you from my personal experience, I've been working in insurance technology for a decade now. I used to be a licensed producer in the P&C space, so I know how complex this process is. But the MeasureOne team as a whole does not have that expertise. We are experts in the exchange of data. And also, as we talk about that, we also, and this is maybe more I should be saying, I recognize that what we do is one part of servicing an insured as an insurance agent. And Salt has taken a holistic approach to providing all these different services that you as an agent need. And we're excited and thrilled to be one piece of the Salt experience.
Thanks, Matthew. When I first saw this type of technology and permission-based gathering of data, it was a few years ago, and I was pretty skeptical as an agent. Us agents are very concerned about data security, who's got these passwords, is this okay with the carrier? And so for agents that, I got to learn the slow way and through this partnership, but for agents that may still have a lot of questions, is this legal? What's the compliance like? Is there court cases that prove this is an okay way to do things? Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so this technology has been used at this point now for, I would say, probably roughly 20 years. And when I say this technology, what I'm talking about is the concept of individuals sharing their username and password so that a technology provider can access the data and then share it with the partner that they choose. As I mentioned, we do this in countless industries, but it actually first came to prominence in the finance space, and specifically in banking. This is how companies like PayPal first started. This is how you can move money between your Bank of America account and your PayPal or your Venmo. And that's when you talk about the legal precedents where all that really happened. And ultimately, what's important here for everyone to understand, what the courts have decided is that this data is also owned by the individuals, and they have just as much right to this data as the company that is storing it, in this case, the insurance carriers. So as long as you are working on behalf of those individuals, and that is part of our user experience that we've worked with Salt to roll out here, is that the individuals provide us their permission to access the data and then only share it with who they tell us to share it with, in this case, you, the insurance agents. And we follow that very strictly. We do not create any type of database or anything like that. It is only accessible to you, the insurance agents. So that legal history is well established.
Oh, that's great. Um, yeah, I know there's been a lot of the functionality of the court system is who owns this data. And while there can be arguments about agency ownership, carrier ownership, certainly the primary owner of that data is the insured. And I think everything kind of builds from there. So that's great. Tell us a little bit about security. I know we've done our homework here, but how's this data stored? How are these passwords or and credentials stored? Is it secure? How's it managed? Color in that a little bit, please.
Yeah, so from a technical perspective, the most important thing that all data, this is both the data that we are sharing, so in this case, the declarations page and the data within that, but also the username and password is always encrypted. And the terminology is it's encrypted both in transit and at rest. But for maybe some people who are not technical experts, I think the easiest way to get comfort around this is to share that MeasureOne is SOC 2 compliant. And SOC 2 is the highest security certification that you can receive here in the United States. It's a ton of work to get. We're very proud that we got that. And it's also a ton of work to maintain. We go through an audit every year to maintain our certification. And I would say that's the easiest thing to point to, for a short conversation here for people to get confident in the security of our platform is that to say that we are SOC 2 compliant.
That's great, Matthew. Yeah, and I know moving into pulling in the policy data rather than just verifying it is a lot of what the build has been. Give us a little update on the progress. I mean, how many carriers are we talking about are now on the platform that we can pull policy data from, and talk a little bit about what to expect over the next year or so.
Yeah, so when we talk about the different lines of coverage that we support, in total, we're up to over 400 insurance carriers that we support on the platform. We are also constantly looking at new lines of coverage that we can add, and frankly, we rely on our partners to help us steer that product roadmap. So we're constantly working with our partners, specifically Salt, to understand what the end users, in this case, the insurance agents, are interested in and what we can bring to the table in that sense.
If you don't mind, we don't need a technical answer, but just kind of a layman answer. If we do run into a small regional carrier that's not on the platform, it's kind of the steps to bring that on for an agency.
Yeah, so there's a couple things that we can do. One is if in advance, there's important carriers that you would like to see on the platform, we can always add those in advance. And so we can constantly add carriers. Our only limitation is that they need to have an online portal where individuals can access their data, and then we can add carriers to our platform. The other thing that we're doing is the end user has the experience that I believe Jonathan will be showing you, where they can search for carriers. If they search for a carrier and we don't have it, our team gets an alert. And so we're all constantly looking if a search happens and we don't provide it back, our team will see that and we'll add those carriers as they pop up.
Excellent. Thank you. Perfect. Matthew, thank you.